getting closer.
That's it. Okay, welcome.
I came all the way up Elm from Watson, and every stoplight had children walking
Yes.
across it, which is just fine, and I should have gone to Edgar.
It took me 30 minutes to get here.
Yeah, like, and they're all moving slow today, like everyone else.
Well, yeah, I threw out my back moving washing machine again yesterday, and so then it took me like 5 minutes to put on my shoes. I was like, oh.
And Frank is here.
Hey, Stacy.
Hey, Stacy.
No, he just
Alright.
said he wasn't gonna be here.
Who is?
Frank's online evidently.
Oh, okay, Frank.
Hey, Fran.
Yes,
For some reason, Elle thinks you're off until the 2nd. I got a text message from her this morning asking.
Approval of the October minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Nobody? Okay. No visitors?
Nope.
Okay. Rooftop lighting?
So Strive is missed the date for Old Orchard, and that follows with Old Webster, so they are coming back. They said as of yet, last week when I talked to them before Thanksgiving, they are coming back at the end of next week to start their work. So early next week in Old Orchard, late next week in here at the JHC building, I call it.
Okay.
Hey, Eric, the lights on our block are out pretty badly.
Yeah, we need to get those all
All
replaced,
replaced, the whole stripe? Okay.
both sides.
Both sides, you mean from your building both ways?
Well,
or-
yeah, exactly. So it starts on the Stacy's roof.
Yeah.
And then off, if you look at the building, going to the left doesn't work and hasn't worked for quite some time. They've worked on it before, trying to do something. I think originally what happened is they put the light bulbs in and they didn't put the little rubber grommets around the light bulbs, and then they shorted out, and there's some short somewhere where nobody can find.
Okay.
And then on the right-hand side, 70% of the bulbs are out.
Okay. So just your stretch from,
Right.
okay, from the church up to the door. Got it.
Okay, anything else on, that's it on lighting?
Other than Christmas lights work? We found the issue on the street poles, but they are lit now, the ones that we talked about down on.
Okay,
on
I'll
Rock
go
Hill,
see those.
so,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, new business, commission meeting schedule.
So we provided this, Fran sent it out. This is your normal meeting schedule, and you don't have any dates that conflict with anything, so
There we go.
just wanted to make sure that was all good for everyone.
They look good.
I do have a question. Is it possible to request this meeting to start at 8:15 instead of 8? It's very hard if you're a working mom to make this time. Like, I literally just did school drop off and ran here real fast. And if we're trying to get more people to join the boards, I'm wondering if by requesting 8:15 start time might help, because then people won't feel like that's too difficult of a time to get here.
From a city perspective and from staff perspective, not a problem. So it's up to you all. I think. I've said 8 because when I got here, that was the historic tradition, was 8 o'clock. So if you all want to move the date or time, feel free. Crossroads has done the same thing. They moved it back 5 minutes for a person, so.
Yeah, so my only hiccup is I have to be at the store at 9:30, no matter what, and I usually am there easily by 9 every day to try to get my stuff in order. I can, of course, make the accommodation for the 9 o'clock, I won't be there at 9 ever, on this day, and I made that accommodation, but I cannot be, I gotta the bug out of here if that happens.
Just make the meeting shorter.
Well, they're pretty short.
I think that's okay, as everybody else feel.
I would say, why don't we can go with 8:15, but on the longer meetings that we know, like budget, we'll make that meeting 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay.
Everything's kicking.
All right, and then on, we're gonna have January officer election.
That's correct. So under the bylaws that the council has passed for every group, every organization, the chair and vice chair role are up for election in January. And even if you're not here, you can be elected. So
And nominated.
And nominated.
Especially
and all that.
nominated if you're not here.
You do not have to consent to nomination if you're not here.
That's why I'm here.
But then also, and historically, all the business districts and the BDC have designated Fran as their secretary. You have the option to not do so. I'm assuming that you want to do that, and certainly as staff, we suggest that, but that's up to you all in January to make that designation, per the memo that we sent out. So.
Okay. Great. BDC update.
Tim, I'll turn it to you.
No, really, we just talked about the February meeting. Or having the coffee that we're having in February, I'm sorry. What the agenda will be, which will be, Eric, what do we call that?
It's a conversation about the CID, the Community Improvement District.
Thank you.
The
Thank you.
alternative models to a business district, like you have known at the other possible options of that, so.
So that will be the agenda. The city attorney is going to join along with Eric to explain all of this, which they've gone over with us before. And I don't think I'm really missing anything. That was most of the meeting.
And that's on the 14th, is that correct?
We've moved it, so did they send
Yeah.
the dates? This
Yeah,
was the
it's the 7th.
7th, the week ahead. So,
February 7th.
yeah. So the save the dates will be going out now, early this week,
Okay.
mid this week.
It was not only Valentine's Day. What else was it? It was something
Ash
else.
Wednesday.
As
Ash
Wednesday.
That's right.
So Fat Tuesday the night before, we knew how that was gonna go, so.
I wish. Okay. City update.
Councilmember Smith sent me a text that he could not make it this morning. Razul, officer, is there anything you wanted to bring up? Parking's great, that's what I heard. Couple things mentioned in BDC, but also for everyone that you'll be seeing. One, we are going to be working on putting together and launching the new business directory, which is part of the online business licensure over this coming month and into January. And that's a dynamic business mapping and directory system. So you all will be able to enter you will enter your business, but you can enter sales, job postings, highlights on that directory. So it replaces that static listing on our website with a dynamic mapping feature. You'll also have a QR code for Old Webster. You can put at shop windows, at the tables, stands, and they do that. It pulls up Old Webster. It doesn't give them the whole city. So they can get to the whole city, but if they want to know what's going on, could sort by restaurants, by types of places. And that will be able to take that business licensure, the business directory role, and work in webstergroves.com and roll it all into one dynamic, very Google-like feature that you can use on your phone or on our website to find businesses and such. The couple quick things, the city strategic plan is adopted, as you know, and the council is working on two things to go to voters. The last vote is on the charter, the Destination WG bond for this Parks and Recreation world. It's 22 million. As of right now, they haven't pulled down the number, so 22.1 million. It's a no tax increase debt bond for debt to go for those improvements. 12 million is of that is the aquatic center, and then the charter amendments. They have so far sent 7, probably going to send 1 more to the ballot in April from the Charter Review Advisory Board. So we're going to have a very busy April ballot because you're going to have city council, the Parks and Recreation bond, and also charter amendments to the city on top of MSD's potential sewer rate increase and tax increase, and then all the other issues for other places. So there'll be a lot of issues on the April ballot in April 24. And then we've launched our property tax receipts. I think we all sent that. Did we send that out to I can't remember if we sent one out to the business district. We did. We'll send one out to you this week. It's just a link, but it lets you, if you're property owners, Dan, I'll point it to it because I used you as an example one day. You can take your assessed value of a property, type it in, and it gives you a receipt form right where all that money went in the city budget. So you can see what went to fire, what went to police personnel within those and such. And so that's just a transparency, a tool that we're providing so people can see where their taxes go. It doesn't include the business district side of it, just simply because we'd have to make 6 more receipts for all that. But so we didn't put that in, given it's a small number. But that is, if you want to have one of those, I can build you one and send it out for you. So I think that's all that's a lot, but that's that. Waste management. Did you text me, Ron?
I did.
I got a new phone, so I've lost people's phone numbers.
Okay.
My phone so I was like, who is this asking about trash cans? So, waste management has been contacted. So I've been out of town till this morning. Is recycling bins, did they get picked up?
They got picked up like that day that I texted you. I was actually down in way South Missouri fishing, but.
Okay, well, that's good. They obviously have not. We've had many contractual issues, compliance issues with contract. So we are now, Public Works is doing a weekly check on things as they go through and making sure that they're getting picked up.
Good.
So
Yeah. So waste management picks up the recycling bins?
they pick everything on the street that is the city. So the
Okay,
recycling
got it.
and the
Trash
trash.
and
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two different.
They shouldn't be picking them up, putting in the same truck. That's the goal,
No,
but yeah,
I
but
know,
yes,
they
yeah,
were a separate truck.
yes. So,
For recycle.
Okay.
and Republic is, if you've had any issues with the rear dumpster, I haven't seen any.
I've been
Okay.
noticing it's
So-
been emptied regularly, as mine has at my business too, which I'm grateful for. But.
Yeah.
So,
I got a couple things.
Yep.
Right, for new business?
sure, yeah.
I've been noticing in the parking garage that only about 50% of the permit spots are being used. Can we do a temporary to open those up until people get back into work? From the office? It seems like a lot of people are working from home, because that would open it up for the retail use for.
You're talking about
Customer.
just general parking, not another permit in that space.
Yeah, moving it to general, and maybe just doing a temporary sign, something you put over a permit spot, which allows them, Officer Rizul, you could help me on this, only about 50% of the permits are being parked in.
Right.
I think what he's saying is I know we have a list
Mhm.
to kind of add more people to the list.
Mhm.
to give
Well,
them
yeah,
more permits.
yes. So it's an interest, yes, so parking usage of the permits has gone down. It's been quite an adamant, I've had some just private conversations with various permit holders, some of them you can name in your head right away. They're very protective of their permit parking, of course, as I would expect people to be. But I don't know that that's a problem. We've toyed with the idea, right? Because it's come up as we're looking at parking permit renewals, but also then what do we do with these spaces? Because people ask, why can't I park there? It's convenient, it's easy, and
Especially the perception is when you go into a garage, all of the
Yep.
regular parking's taken and the rest of the garage is open.
Mhm.
It'd be one thing if they were all full, then you'd say, okay, that's
Yeah.
being used, but.
Right.
So I think I'd just like to
So are
address that. in
So are
some
these
way.
business owners, are they kind of holding on to them
absolutely. Yeah, I
because
mean,
the
it's.
fact that they're gonna need
Very-
them
yeah.
if they do start renting out their businesses?
I think they actually have them, so I'm sure they have employees for the count they have, right? Even COVID, no one let their parking permits go, right? I mean, we did not see a dip at all during COVID in parking permits. And folks essentially said to me, we don't want to lose them to the next person in the list that wants them. So we're gonna keep renewing them, right? And so if you're a big employee, you have 50 of them, you have 50 of them and you assign them to people, I'm sure, or you've got them out, but those folks aren't coming to the office like they used to. I mean, that's the commercial real estate issue today, right? And applying that to parking now, we certainly can look at making a change and figuring out how to make it temporary in usage. If we get a surge one day, the question becomes if they do call 50 in, and they want to use them, where do those people park? And that's,
Well,
we can
maybe,
look at that. so.
maybe when they sign up for their permit, you're not guaranteed a spot, we are over allotting or under allotting parking spaces for the number of permits. And that first, it's somewhat of a first come, first served. You got because that way you've got some dynamic use of the garage that's otherwise today very static. And it's just a bad look too, when these people are really looking hard for a parking space and they go, why can't I park over here?
Mhm.
And it's all day like that. It's not just
Mhm.
the
No,
morning or the
I agree.
afternoon.
I
It's,
come for lunch and it's wide open on the
wide
back
open.
roads, yeah.
and it just seems like it'd be nice, especially at Christmas time,
Mhm.
for the next month to put over temporary general parking allowed.
Okay.
So regular customers who need the spots.
I'll work with the chief and such. I don't think it's out of the realm of doing. We sell the number of permits right to the number of spaces that we have. So
Right,
that's
one for one.
one for one, yeah.
Mhm.
And that's just been the practice and it hasn't been, till post-COVID, we really haven't had an issue there, right? They fill them up, so definitely. can look at it.
I don't know if this was be a possibility, but I mean, I would be happy to sublease a spot or two.
We will take them.
I mean, seriously, I don't know if you'd want to contact the companies or anything, if that's anything, but I mean, you know, I'd be happy to do that where they don't have to pay for it, but they can keep the spot.
I can look into that.
I'm
Or,
for them being
Okay.
used.
Yeah.
As long as they're used, if permitted or otherwise.
Yeah, we just don't want people driving around Webster seeing all these empty vacant spots. It is a bad look for us.
And then not finding a spot they can use and
Uh-oh.
driving on. Okay,
So
number
I have,
two.
I have a quick question about that parking, permit parking. The permit parking, I know there's different, like there's yellows and oranges, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Are they all designated to certain spots, or can the ones in the garage be moved to other spaces in the district? And so people can still hold on to their permits and whatnot, but it frees up the garage, because I know story 7, you guys are jam packed all the time. And there's so many people walking around Old Webster, at least I've noticed on that, you know, in the Gore and Lockwood area, and people are trying to park during the day. And I'm like, whoa. So I just wonder about that.
Right, they are, there is a designated yellow spaces and orange spaces and blue spaces down to Old Orchard. That's just the way it was set up and the way it's been running, right? That all can be changed. If we're going to change that and make more of, I'll use zones, right? Where you can take your permit and flex across zones. It will take some signage changes. It's not an immediate, easy change, but in reality, you know, until signage is changed, if we're gonna make a change, we just tell Officer Razul and others, and, you know, they figure out how to operate around that with enforcement, so.
So Karen, let's take you for an example. So are you needing it for employees?
We would like, yeah, we have 3 and we would like 2 more.
And that's for employees.
Employees are managers and
And
owners.
so there's also, it's also, it could be just not, maybe they're not patrolling the parking garage as much anymore.
anymore.
It's patrolled, yeah.
Yeah, which I
Okay.
know you're doing your job, yeah.
I understand. Okay, well, I mean, if there's all these open spaces.
Right.
You know, it just seems like to me that would be, you know,
But we have to re-sign it temporarily, so a customer
I understand that.
knows they can park there.
Right, but the thing is that, let's just say Karen's employee who is now parking in a customer spot, and I'm not saying that exactly, because I don't know that, but they go park in the permit parking, even though they don't have a permit,
They will get a ticket.
they will get a ticket.
They absolutely will.
All right,
And
'Cause
sometimes
if
they
it-
risk it. If the weather's terrible and they don't wanna walk, or they're like, I'll just take the $10 ticket, you know, whatever it is, just. But we don't want it for every employee. It's just the everyday.
sure.
But I'm happy to sublease too, Tim.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go down right after the meeting to talk about renewals and. So you have extras?
She has her permits right here.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I have
Why
my,
not? Yeah. They get a new sticker on them for the next year, so.
I don't have extras, but I would do it.
Like you're looking for it.
oh, you're looking, gosh.
So I wanna, where I'm gonna talk about this next is incredibly early on parking and the permits is. We have been looking at, and I mean incredibly early, folks, so do not hold us to this, but moving towards a license plate model. So I'll just use story 7. You set up an account, you buy 5 permits. I don't care who has them, you put 5 license plates in. You want to take a license plate out, you take it out, you put them in, you know, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
That takes a whole work of involving enforcement side of that, what's in the system, you know, who's in and all that. But essentially to get the city out of your, who's got them, you know, that you, right now you're hanging tags and such and moving them around. So if you have a manager who quits mid-year or something, you can change that license plate to a new car or your own vehicle that's moving around and such, you know, and what are the available license plates that can be in that spot. So getting out of a physical manifested tag into a much more of a reader possible situation. I want to be clear, that's very early. It's, you know, one conversation with one company, which of course has to be bid and such, but looking at doing that,
Eric, I
trying to
would
get
say-
companies. Correct.
I would possibly say the physical is maybe easier for businesses.
And the police officers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of a change to readers and such would be that you wouldn't actually have, your enforcement could be potentially without people there. You use cameras to who's parking and such like that. Right now, if you're a car that pulls into that parking spot and your tag's hanging, Officer Razul can't sit in his car. see that. I'm assuming you have to get out and go
Yeah.
physically look at the front of the car inside on the front edge of the garage if they're not backed in, so.
I mean, it's not that hard, I guess, but it would help. So especially because I know we're talking about the garage, everywhere else the parking is fine. It's just the garage, you notice that the spaces are open, people are not utilizing it. So as far as just getting out, when I do my checks, I just go one round every 2 to 3 hours and check everything, so.
But these are like gold. It's so hard to get the permits. Sarah sat outside at 5 in the morning and waited on a full day. And some people didn't get their, I mean, she did. She put a chair up and coffee and all.
Yep.
They're hard
It's
to
like
get.
2 or 3.
And yet there's so many open spaces. So
Yeah,
They are like gold, and they essentially, I don't want to say they have a property right in the law, but people treat them like a piece of property, and they're gonna come and get that renewed, and you know, they desperately hold on to them, so. I have not yet met in 2.5 years anyone who's willing to get one. So,
Wow.
maybe I mean, first choice would
oversell,
be, yeah, my first choice would be for customers. But my second choice would be then oversell 20%.
Yeah.
Maybe until the COVID effect goes back to normal, and then you don't oversell them.
and we may never have to go back to normal, I don't know, but
Yeah.
blue permits, for an example, in Old Orchard, blue permits are underutilized all the time, you know, by what's on Bompard, it's usually open, that blue section, and then even down Lockwood, so.
because if we have an employee that comes in at 3 or 4, we're having an event, I mean, they'll do the math, well, I can be here however, and you see them moving around their cars. And they don't want to walk at night alone carrying a cash bag, right? Up to, they're women, so they'll risk it. They're gonna park as close as they can and take a customer spot.
Mhm.
And that parking garage is permit only during the day.
Half the bottom, half of the bottom,
Till 5.
until 5, yeah.
Right.
That's why it doesn't affect Frank,
Right.
because after hours, they can park anywhere.
Right.
Okay, number two, I finished the bench that Ron brought to me. We put new slats on it. I showed it to Yvonne. She likes it. I don't know if it was her or somebody suggested maybe putting it across from Stacy in front of Regions Bank. We were gonna put it down at Strops where it came from, but they're gonna be redoing that, as I understand. So does anybody have any thoughts on putting it across from Stacy on the sidewalk in front of Regions Bank? Because that's kind of a hot area up there now.
I mean, there's a bus stop right across the street.
Right.
It's like, it's near, it's to the left of in front of their building to the left side, next to like a drainage culvert that goes through the sidewalk. There's like a spot right there that would be facing your store. And I thought with all the new traffic coming up there with the coffee shop and Stacy, there's no bench on that side.
In my personal opinion, I think we should at least hold on to it and look and see what that Straub's is gonna be. Because being that bench was the most destroyed, maybe it's the most used as well. And Frank, you can probably chime in on that.
Well, here's the good news. She has the old benches, so we can rebuild more.
Right, okay.
They saved the outer portion of this
Good.
iron,
In that one centerpiece.
I hope.
Yeah.
But they
Right,
took
so,
all-
so, yeah, sorry, that bench was used a lot at Straub's, but it was the most abused by the kids that are over on that corner after school.
Okay, so it's
Right there
yeah.
at Redco,
Oh, that makes sense.
like they just jump on it and skateboard on it and do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Okay,
Anyway, I'd like to get it out of our basement, but also in use. And so,
I like the idea of it being across the street at Regions because I have to tell you, I mean, it could just be because it's a new business, but that coffee house, holy moly. There's a lot of people standing there waiting for their coffee, a lot.
Yeah, I think that if we put it over there and we've got others to rebuild, once the Straub reconstruction is done, we can add one back in there.
Okay.
okay,
Yeah,
I'll
I think that we'll need something across from Stacy there by the new by 23 West.
yeah, it's just, and we can add more later where we want them.
So then are we going to also put a trash can over there too? I would recommend that if we're going to have people sitting at a bench with coffee.
Okay, we'll have to move one from somewhere, but
Yeah.
we'll find one,
Okay.
unless you want to buy one. That's the money, so, okay, all right.
All right, thanks.
I'll have Frank, Public Works installs them, so I'll have him connect with you to pick it up and get it out of your basement for you.
I'll help him, but he'll need a few more other guys.
Oh, yeah.
I need two.
He's gotta put it in.
Yeah.
He's gotta-
You'll need 3 to 4.
It's
Yeah.
probably the heaviest thing I've ever tried to lift.
I do have a question. So my husband and I noticed, and I don't even know who to call about this, but at Froyo, my good Froyo. I'm going to assume it's the employees. I don't want to call anybody out, but I assume that that's what's happening. Every couple of weeks, they take their plastic spoons and they line the trash can with it. And it's not their trash can. It's not in the Old Reliable Life side, because I've reached out to Old Reliable Life and I'm like, this is destruction of property. And it's not their problem because it's the Webster trash cans that the employee keeps doing it to. And we keep going in and removing the spoons. I mean, it's like 100 spoons lined up around the rim of the trash can to make it look like art.
Sure, I know, okay. I'll work with Officer Azul, we'll figure out that between.
I know it's so stupid, but
Oh,
it's
that's fine.
hot pink spoons and it's just
Yes,
trash.
what do we give it? Yep. Speaking of trash, I forgot to mention, we've updated the fix it form. I appreciate everyone calling me, and please keep calling me if you have issues, but we realized we never had the trash cans in the business districts, pumped full, overflowing on that. So that comes in and goes directly to Public Works, who contacts Waste Management and such. So if you go on our online and just fill it out, it'll go right to them. I'll get a copy as well, so I will know. But the point being is that we didn't ever, it was not there, so we've updated.
Is that on our website?
On the website, yep.
Fix it.
If you go right to it says report a concern, you just click on it, and off you go to the fix it form.
I always feel bad that I call
It's
you
fine,
and things
yeah,
like that.
that's
but
fine.
That's automated now. That's
Yeah.
good.
So,
Okay, anything else, anyone? One other thing about parking, Joe, and you can help me with this. Didn't the city a long time ago oversell the permit parking and then that became?
They oversold the orange permits by 2 or 3 permits. I'm not sure they ever oversold the yellow permits. But the yellow permits were the garage permits at a much higher cost than the orange permits.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was like a Novus thing too. I thought it was like part of, wasn't it?
I don't know if there's a written agreement, but
No, there was, I don't think
I
there
don't
was
think so.
ever a written agreement. It was just kind of Novus felt entitled to many of the spots since they built the garage.
Mara would know all the information on that if you really wanted to know.
Okay, I think that's it. Next meeting, January.
23rd, and we'll start budget next meeting. Now, that's not the big budget meeting, so 8:15, right? Okay,
8:15.
How about holiday open house, people? How is
Yeah.
that?
It went well.
I don't know, you tell us, Stacy.
I mean, I had a different perspective this year than I've ever had. But I thought it was pretty amazing.
It was great for
Yes.
us.
Yeah.
It
I didn't
was
see
an
anything
amazing,
outside, though. I never
amazing.
got outside.
How was your Black Friday?
We had the best Black Friday we've ever had. We had over 100 people in our line.
I saw that. At
Yeah.
like 8:30 in the morning. I go, what is she giving away up there?
Jewelry. We teamed up with Joya, and if you were in line by 8:45, you got a free piece of jewelry.
Hey, great job.
That was pretty cool. I do have a question about holiday open house that I want to put on the list for next year before I forget. We need to talk about, with the amount of people that showed up this year, possibly closing down sections of the street to make it more kid friendly. So just start thinking about it, because I feel like that would be something we would have to discuss, I would think.
We probably would certainly ask you all. I mean, the special activities permit, we just consider, we don't bring to you because it's your event and such, but if you want to close down streets, at least the first year we'd come and talk about how we would work that out. So,
I would assume that, fire department, that would be, it's always been like one of the concerns on Lockwood, but fire department could still get down.
Sure. Yeah, it
You know,
depends on
and
which
when
street.
there's sirens blaring, there's no
Yeah.
hidden
Yeah.
in there.
Depends on which street and how much closure, so.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else from anyone? All right, thank you, everybody.
See you next year.
Hey, Frank, you still there?
I'm